Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the final week of ESL Challenger League Season 49. It's Boggs and Pineapple Phillips here for some North and South American action. We've got a little North-South derby going on here, Nate. And, well, it's October, fall's rolling in, and that means Season 48 is coming to an end.
Yep, it is the eve of the end of Season 48. This is the last week, as you mentioned, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe next week is going to be playoffs as well. So the wrap-up is coming very, very soon, and teams are scrambling to get their final matches played. You mentioned this is technically a North American versus South American derby. One of these teams is from Brazil, but they are competing in the North American ECL League. It is M80 versus Legacy, two top dogs in the league going head-to-head. This is going to be a very exciting set of best-of-ones to set the tone right before playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the standings here, but to give a little more background on these two teams as well, an M80 team making it to the quarterfinals at Pro League, and then a Legacy team which just qualified for ESL Challenger Katowice. They're top of the standings as well, Nate. These are their last two games in this season for Legacy. They've just about solidified a top two spot. The only teams who could overcome them, M80, who they played today, and Wildcard, who actually ended up defaulting to M80 earlier today, could not field a full five. Unsure of why that's the case, assuming it's travel difficulties. But either way, there's only two teams that could potentially displace Legacy at the top of the board. And right now, their destiny is entirely in their own hands.
Yeah, and if Legacy falter, losing two, they become far more unseatable. Whereas if M80 lose them both, M80 are suddenly out of contention for that number one spot, depending on how Wildcard perform in their final match of the season. So a lot is up in the air for these top four positions, which is not what I would have expected. We've been talking about how NRG is virtually locked in for a number one or number two finish, but clearly that is not the case because Legacy and M80 have been catching up on their matches that they let kind of fall by the wayside where they're playing in other international events and international stints, and now they're coming back hungry and ready to secure one of those top two spots.
Yeah, Legacy have done really well throughout the course of this season. Took a long time to get going, longer than M80 even. But Legacy have only dropped 3 maps over the course of this season in ECL. They've been very good, very effective in qualifiers as well. And they qualified for the RMR, most importantly. So for Legacy, they're on the up and up. M80, a bit of a slide after their playoff performance at Pro League. But I think they'll be able to bring it back here pretty quickly, hopefully. At any rate, they bombed out of Atlanta, losing the wild card in the playoffs. And I think that was a disappointing knock for them to take.
Was it in the playoffs or was it to qualify for playoffs? I'm not exactly
certain. Or qualify
certain.
For playoffs.
It was to qualify. So that is a very big knock to take for the hometown here. So let's take a look at the rosters, though, at the actual matchup that we are going to have for this evening. Get to know the players, of course. If you're an NA fan, you know M80. Rex, Sin, Swisher, Slacks, and Lake. Those two imports, I believe both German Sin and Slacks. Lake, the recent addition, replacing Malbs, big shoes to fill, but still doing quite well in that endeavor. Legacy, maybe you're a little bit less versed with this team, but they're still a power-packed set of players. Lato, Nakiz, Dumao, Bartin, and Sadzin comprise the roster. All 5 very fearsome, very successful individually. It is a very, very scary roster to go up against, no matter how highly you're ranked on the HLTV World Rankings.
Yeah, this is a team that can pull off some good performances against some of the best teams in the world. Has a couple of map victories against the likes of Liquid. Now doesn't necessarily have the same scalps that M80 took. Fnatic being one of those. And Liquid again, Complexity. But let's look at our player to watch here. And we're going to go and highlight somebody who's not from the North American mix. We're going to go with Lato, who has the highest overall statistics of anybody in this matchup. He's a very explosive rifler, able to take control of the game. Look to Lato to be the controlling piece for a very strong Legacy team overall, but he is a standout performer on that lineup, which is saying something considering there's Nakiz, there's Bartin on that lineup as well, Dumao. So he has a lot of lifting to do if he wants to stay atop all of those players.
Yeah, specifically Lato and Dumao are who I look to as the duo, the 1-2 punch for this team. Lato, the best stats in terms of HLTV rating, 1.26. A nice 1.2 impact and a dastardly cast of 78.6. 83.0 damage per round, as well as nothing to bat an eye at. However, Dumao technically eclipses him in that endeavor. 83.8 ADR for him. So look to that pair of players to really get things working, crack open sights, hold things down, and sit atop the scoreboard more likely than not, just given their overall individual prowess. It kind of eclipses the likes of M80's players, specifically looking at Lake as the star for that team. He has a higher impact rating, but a lower ADR and a lower HLTV. So I'm expecting Legacy, if their players are on point today, to really come out the gates swinging and come out quick and fast.
Yeah, Lotho does a lot of starting and finishing. Lake does a lot more finishing. Takes advantage of players like Swisher, of Sin, and Slacks to soften up people. And let's go to our predictions here. And don't just look at the logos next to our names, because I think, Nate, you and I both agree this is very likely a 1-1 split. At least that's where my mind is going. I put Legacy up there because of the caliber of these players, of Dumao, of Nekis, of Lato especially, and the experience they've gained recently on the international stage as well. I think they'll be good for at least a map. There is a world in which both teams win both best of ones, but I think a 1-1 split is probably the most logical here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not.
Yeah, you mentioned it says B-Dog, but you're Boggs. It's pretty close, but not exactly on the mark. You mentioned you chose Legacy simply because you probably know more about these players and about this team. But of course, I chose M80 because I'm an NA stan. We just kind of split the goalposts because this is that close, because it is that much up in the air. Brazilian teams, especially historically from what we've seen when we've done those South American qualifiers, they kind of live and die by their individuals. If they simply just aren't hitting shots, they can kind of really fall flat. But Legacy have a lot of individuals that would have to fall flat for this team to fail, so that means this should be a barn burner no matter who is hitting their mark.
Yeah, there's redundancies on redundancies for the Brazilian squad, and I think we should be ready to talk about the map we're going to be playing for the first best of one as well. We can get the veto up there on screen. If not, we can still talk about it. But Nate, the veto is going to be interesting because both teams have very strong map pools. The only team that has a perma ban is technically M80. Ah, there we go. Vertigo was essentially as close to a perma ban as you could get for Legacy. They've only played it once, and so that is their initial ban. M80 do not like to play Nuke or Mirage. Those are those two bans. The Anubis ban makes sense despite a good record for Legacy at 11-6. M80 9-3, but the map up on the screen kind of does spoil it all. We're heading into Ancient here, 14-7 for Legacy, 10-5 for M80, 66.7% win rate for both teams here as we're live into the matchup. M80 on the T side, P250 armor for Slacks, utility for Sin, Wreck dropping over a piece of that, and the P250 has no armor. Glocks on the rest, double dualies for Legacy, and B contact coming through Cave. Bartin ready to receive, and Lato there as well. Bartin traded out. Lato though, 2 for the price of 1. Molotovs to force him forward with a bomb, moving its way out and retreating towards the A site, moving through mid and Donut. Only one player here, but it is Dumao. He's left alone by Zadzine, and Dumao here's something towards A main, spots the head of Sin, I believe, as he takes a different position while the rest of the squad moves their way around, and Sin seems ready for a peek.
Yes, he does. He's biding his time, patiently waiting for his teammates to come through Donut and box this player in. Plant will go down, hopefully to distract Dumao, but instead Sin face peeks and gets the kill. Sadzine just some damage, can't quite get a kill cleanly. But Nekis in Temple finds one, not a second. Aim punched away. 2 versus 2, but Wreck is low, and Lato has those dualies in hand. Sadzine and Donut just being a menace, distracting, running by the sidelines, and in fact finds both. 2 for him, 2 for Lato on the round. And the first taken by Legacy on their defensive side of Ancient. I also wanted to mention, these are 2 best of ones. We don't know what the second best of one will be on, but it's also deciding who starts where based off of a knife round. So I'm guessing that Legacy won the knife round because most teams do elect to start on the CT side, although they are more favored on the T side. We'll have to wait and see. But M80, no bomb plant means no investment. Legacy, nonetheless, going for a lot of rifles. And in fact, Nekis is foregoing a helmet. We'll see if that comes to bite him later. 3 FAMASas, an M4, and a lone SMG, a lone MP9 Bartin. M80 just grouped up outside B doors, going for delayed press with a single flashbang on Sin to promote the pop. Flash goes over to find Lato, but he's playing in the corner. He's ready for that exact play. In fact, it seems like Legacy might have a bit of anti-stratting in the back pocket. They're picking apart these T-side players. The last alive is Sin, and he's caught by the FAMAS at range 2 for the MP9. Good bit of cash there, and a clean one overall for Legacy. Means a bonus going into round number 3 against the AKs.
Yeah, the bonus is still strong, though. The 3 FAMASs can still stand up to scrutiny if the headshots are delivered properly. The MP9 close corner is a very dangerous opponent to deal with as well. And M80 with their full AKs don't have the best utility. They're already starting to run a little dry on smokes, for example. Only 3 left early in the round. And now okay, they did just toss one over to Sin instead of using a third so early. Now there goes that extra smoke. Flashes are all but gone. 135 to go. Swisher's got to be careful of Cave as that smoke reblooms in his face. Eats the nade, crosses over. No contact made by either side officially yet, though. Control towards Snake and middle from M80, and an opportunity onto Lato, which he dodges away from.
Slower one from M80, but looks like they're going to go towards A as their set of choice. 2 up Snake, slowly dropping down in middle. Lots of control taken for this T side, but no real inroads in terms of kills, and there's only 1 smoke and a flash remaining for M80. Just under a minute as well in terms of time. Legacy a little bit more in the utility department. They have a Molotov to complement those 2 pieces. Nikis has rotated in Temple. Potential quick rotation from Dumao if needed. Working out. Entry, not quite. The flash is good against Rek, and he actually finds a second. It was a flash from Dumao. I thought it was a T-side flash, but not the case. Lake gets the trade eventually, but it's a 2 versus 4 as the FAMAS finds yet another. This time it's Dumao's ringing true. Swisher and Lake, the final pair. Lake won. Quick trade from Sadzin to the smoke and the wall. He's just Swisher alone and Donut. Clean fight not found means that he's not long for the world. Lato puts him down through the wall as well. 3-0. The bonus round bears fruit. Legacy. Strong momentum in the early goings of Ancient.
Yeah, Legacy standing strong on the CT side early, and some lack of cohesion from M80, I would say, has been their biggest downfall. And the good flash on that initial peak to start things off worked out well for Legacy, but the rest of the squad from M80 didn't fill the gaps properly. They didn't start the entry takes as they should, despite losing that 1 player, and they look kind of segmented. The timings are slightly off. The spacings are slightly off. It's nothing major that's throwing everything out of whack, but it's enough to where it's impeding their progress and their positivity. And a dry fight against Sadzin is not the way you want to lose your hero rifle.
No, it's not. Player tied low. At least the rifle's recoverable. Slacks has it at hand, but he's yet to make any impact. Good damage on the Nikis. When Nikis drops Slacks, that's the rifle down. Far more difficult to recover. At this point, Swisher's main game plan is just to plant, but he's caught. And Nikis spamming the last one. Sin, bottom mid, finds nothing. This has been a sweep from Legacy thus far in this first half. 4-0. They shut down another half by. And their economy is already bountiful because of how clean they've made these rounds. The Mao and the Keys have died twice. Martin has died once. Sadzin and Lato have yet to hit the ground. This has been a very solid start for the CT side.
It has. No bomb plan for M80 is something they need to change desperately. No kills for Swisher or Slacks, only 1 for Sin and Rek. Lake has 3, Lato has 6 over on the Legacy side of things, going back to Cave. Sin has the op, sure, or Slacks rather has the op, but what is it going to factor into this round? T side, it's so much more difficult to get that op involved, to get things working positively, to get kills, to get info, and Dumao's actually gone. I think that was Slacks' op, so he got the pick towards Snake, and that's a good start with a difficult weapon.
So say provides the one thing they've yet to find in this first half, an opener, an advantage. Now they have to actually pivot into a take. The bomb is outside B. That makes me think it's going to be a B play. Lake and Rek are outside A main / middle. He's throwing some utility. Lato gets that information, spotting it fly over. I think this is a bit of a fake towards A, though. And yes, it is. Group up towards B. 45 seconds left. Plenty of time for a take to come through. There's only one defender here, and he's playing very passive. It's Martin towards the long. Maybe they were stutter stepping.
Yeah.
They're stopping outside Snake, just spamming for information, and
Look at the time.
time's gonna be an issue. The Keys is flanked in through a main. Jig is up. Unless they go for a fast cat play very shortly and drop the Keys cleanly on the way, they have to go towards B and into the stack. Re-exec is in. Barthin swings out off the first flash. Lines up one. Sin gets a trade on the side Z. Lato at long traded as well. Barthin in the corner. One found. Slacks though drops in the Keys. It's just Barthin in the corner. 8 seconds left. He just needs to buy time. Finds the second. The third trying to peek his Slacks. He has an AK now, but with 3 seconds left, he has to take the fight, and he loses it. Barthin in the corner gets a 5th on the board for his team and keeps M80 skunked in this first half. Time got away from them, and Barthin sees the day.
Has to get all from the same position, and he does just that. One by one they peak, and verily one by one they fall. If you're going to give a guy a 1vx, that's a way to do it. Don't peak together, peak separately. And that's what happens when you run down the clock so low as well. You put yourself in a situation where you have to get the kills, and if you die, one player dies, it can end the whole round. And for M80, they lost one guy, and it spiraled out of control. Legacy took control, rather Barthin did, and it's been a dismal half for M80 so far. And Legacy, they took a timeout probably to clear the comms after Barthin won that round. Had barely any time left to do it, and he did just that. The money is starting to get pretty strong overall for Legacy as well. Only Dumao doesn't have much. Pistol half buy for M80 with armor behind the Tech 9s. A P250 for Slacks. An okay amount of utility considering the investment. But still no bomb plan for M80. They had an opening pick in that round as well. They had the space to exploit on B and just bought so much time, they outplayed themselves.
Thinking too much. Oscillating back and forth, perhaps still in that highly contentious, highly tensed land mindset. They did just come back from Challenger Atlanta, as you mentioned, for a relatively disappointing performance there. Pistols, though, and a respectful hold from Legacy. 3 walking up middle for M80. And actually a 4th and a 5th rotating down from Snake. Sadzine, the first tested, only gets a leg shot onto the player's red door. Now they'll flood in. Sadzine, a lot of pressure, flashed back. He needs to be careful. Naki's trying to support, jumping through the smoke, is caught by Swisher. Now things can get out of hand. 38 seconds left. Sadzine 1, Lake a trade. Dumao has to do a lot with his M4A4. He lines up 2. Lake, though, gets Sadzine, and Rek drops Dumao, leaving Barthin and Lato versus 2. They'll jump through the smoke. 1 is found by Swisher. The second could be as well. No, he runs out of ammo. Lato spots the second. It's chaos and pandemonium, leaving Rek in a 1 versus 1. He does have the op, though. Spots the first. Doesn't get the shot, though. Rechambers. Time to do so, but time is of the essence. Tap from Lato, trying to compel the player forward. Expertly played around the back of sight from him. A 9-1 start for Lato as he again keeps M80 skunked in this first half. 6-0 for Legacy. And according to their stats, they're even more favored on the T side.
Yeah, about a 2 percentile difference favoring the T side, both above 50, so both very quality halves to have on this map. But 57.6% on the T side is absolutely stellar. M80, 58% on the CT side, 55% on the T side. So both teams starting on their weaker half, you might say. But you can't get beat this bad against a team of this caliber and reasonably expect to come back if you're M80. You need to find a way to bring back the caliber of team that took a win against Wildcard on land, Complexity on land, and not the team that lost to NRG and Nouns on this map.
They need to recover this half quickly. Stop the free fall, because right now they're about at the terminal velocity. Perhaps a timeout would have been very good going into this. In fact, it would have been. If it's not used here, at least use it in the next rifle round, or at least some point in the near future, because, as I said, you're in free fall. Nothing is working, nothing is sticking. They just need to stem the bleeding.
how? That's the question. How do M80 get through? They finally got a bomb down at the very least, but now they're going to peek dry into Sadzin's op and cave. There's backup to help him out as well. Lato down, and Rek actually team kills Lake there after the entry from Slacks. This is still a 3 versus 3, and Sin is very low. Martin is here. He has help from Nekiz. Dumao's rotating and flashing for support. Bomb goes down. Slacks has that op. 2 players marooned at post, though. One big one from the op. Molotov flushing them out. Op does not get another. Sin still alive and kicking at pillar. Waiting for everybody else to peek around. Nekiz has to clear out. Dumao's there as well. The drive-by from Rek puts his IGL in a bad spot. And it's even worse. He doesn't even take one with him. 7-0 Legacy and M80 are falling down flat. And a timeout surely forthcoming now.
Surely. They had the lost bonus. They have the rifles because of it. Legacy have at least been humbled a bit economically, right? Economy is getting a little bit lower than it was because these rounds have been relatively close. And there's the timeout you mentioned. Overdue, but better late than never. Legacy still looking good, though. Playing together, playing solid, playing confident. You mentioned the keys as an individual to watch. I was surprised you mentioned him because he's been quieter on this roster. He's doing very well here. In fact, everybody's doing very well here. Dumao's the lowest ADR, 74, but I mean, they're all within 3 kills of each other. 6 kills for Sadzin, Martin, and Dumao, 7 for Nekiz, and 9 for Lato. Meanwhile, you have a trio atop the board for M80 as well. The issue is it's Lake, Rek, and Slacks all at 4. Which is a very far cry from 9.
Yeah. The individuals of Legacy all helping out. The individuals of M80 not really able to do much. And I know Nekiz hasn't had the best performances as of late. Don't sleep on Nekiz. I've seen this guy pull off plenty of good performances individually throughout the years. He's having a solid one. Lato, he's living up to our expectations, though. A couple of big kills. Nekiz falls to Rek in red. And Dumao going to back away through Donut. Barthin, walled, I believe. Walled or legged. Either way, he's down to 5 HP. Still a man disadvantage for M80. And their highest HP player is the Opper. That is not a sign you want to see. So the rifles are both one-shot territory. Almost impotent.
I noticed in the last round, they didn't go for that swap. So that was interesting. And this round is no different either. Slacks, this is a key opportunity onto Lato, if I'm not mistaken. Won't miss at that time. The issue is Martin is also peeking, and he finds Lake maintaining the advantage. Slacks now stuck in a very awkward spot. Flashed by Sadzin. Very well thrown to support Martin. Even just Rek, one of those players you mentioned at below 20. No bomb. No aspirations in this round. You can tell, thought better of it. Saving his AK and his nade, his Kevlar as well. Didn't even have a helmet to back it up. 8-0 for Legacy. As they are looking to make what will probably be a statement first half if this trend continues.
Yeah, this half is already running to a very quick end. And M80's timeout doesn't really change anything. Legacy shouldn't change anything. And the money for M80 is, again, nothing. They're going to force in here. Well, half by now. Hero AK on Rek. Against a full buy. Aggression down middle now from Legacy. Looking like they feel all the confidence in the world, and why shouldn't they? Dumao free start. Nekiz went around the smoke. Lato doing all but getting a kill. Rek charges in. USP'd to death.
No helmet.
That's the problem with the hero rifle.
It was the saved rifle, but again, he just didn't buy a helmet.
Yeah.
in the round prior. Swisher caught. And Slacks too paranoid. The plant tries to go for a fight. It's a clean one to bolster up that CT economy. Not that it really needed it at this stage. 9-0. The jump boost, or the run jump boost really worked out. Walk. Haven't seen one of those in a long time. I think they recently fixed the collisions, so it actually works now as intended. Similar to how it did
too.
Yeah, and that player got up catwalk for free to find the opening. Got in front of the smoke, top snake. Found the first. The second was dropped down middle, close to the smoke.
Yeah, the guy who did the run part of the boosting.
Yeah. And now M80 are on another weird buy. Lacking utility on Sin and Wreck. Opt for Slacks. He's also lacking utility. No helmet for him either to add insult to injury. M80 just scrabbling to put a round on the board at this point. As their best possible is a 3-9. And they're likely at this point it's a 12-0. Because they have not been able to find an opening, barring that one in round like 4.
And how many bomb plants have they even had? 2?
1, maybe 2. Maybe 3.
I think they've had 2. Because there was that Slacks 1v1 and then a B or an A plant. And Sin's blind only gets 1 out of that engagement. Nobody there for a trade. Get lucky as Nakiz runs out of ammunition. And M80 with 55 seconds to go, 2 versus 3, nowhere near a sight, read like a book. The extra rotation coming in the form of Dumao. That's a good start to Wanta Bartin. Trying to throw a little bit of utility. Dumao's nade, if it's well timed, might be able to take down one of these 2 players, but he elects to hold out his gun. Fake plant to try and bait a peek. Both players looking the same direction, trying to play trades here in this 2 versus 2. Nade does massive damage. Can't quite get the kill, though. Flash goes high. Swisher's around the corner. Misses the shots. And so Dumao brings it to a 1 versus 2. Slacks on 22 HP with the op. Not the best gun for the situation. And that is exactly why. Tunnel vision. And 10-0. Legacy up here on Ancient. No idea what the second map is. Either way, Ancient has become a tomb for M80.
It has. 10-0. There's no sugarcoating it.
Yeah. There's no sugar left to coat with.
And at this point, you have to ask, what can you change? What can you do? The lack of bomb plant is really hurting them because they have this max loss bonus. They get the bomb plant, you can at least get, a little bit more, I'd think. Maybe not in this one. They didn't get the bomb plant last time, but Rex economy's just been so hurt that he's still on these Galils. A lineup for Nakiz, a third spotted, a third felled. Every individual hitting the mark, and then some for Legacy. Lato finally felled. Dumao drops Sin. And Nakiz swings for a 4th and does not miss. Swisher being bullied in middle. 11-0. Final round of the first half. No bomb plant further harries the M80 investment. Which will probably be Galils or rifles with no utility. Or AKs with no utility, I should say. Swisher going to go for a Tech 9 instead. Sin going for a Mac 10. It's kind of all over the place for this team at this stage.
Yeah.
Legacy.
It's desperation.
Even the smoke's missing middle. Look at that.
Yeah.
Straight swinging this out. Zane 1. Not quite the second, but
one at a time, too.
They're just racing in as fast as they can in hopes of catching someone off. At this point, it is sheer desperation.
At this point, they just look like they're trying to get this over with. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It's just one guy run, next guy run. I go here, I go there. I peek in, I get headshot. Swisher 1 versus 5 here. Last round of the first half. And he's made noise. He's getting hunted. He's tagged. All but bagged. Molly. Into it. And there we go. 12-0 Legacy. Into the break.
A stumble for M80 in the first half as they fall down 0-12 versus Legacy. See if they can find anything in this second half to cling to desperately, or if they'll fall without a whimper. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs on the mic. And M80 fighting to survive. 12 in a row required for overtime. As Legacy are looking to make a statement with a victory in the pistol. I mentioned it in the pre-show. This sets the tone going into playoffs, and it does not set a good one for M80. Legacy, straight out A main they come. Slack's first man up in Donut, caught by a flying Demau. Player brained up close. Lato finds Wreck. It seems like it might be over in the blink of an eye, Boggs. As it's just 3 remaining.
Yeah, 2. Should be 1. And still 1. But not for long. Lake will be boxed out and dried up here momentarily. Which one kills him? It's Barton from down low. 13-0 for Legacy on the first of these 2 best of 1s. That should just about secure them the first placed spot in to playoffs here in ECL Season 48. For Legacy, that's a good game. They weren't really challenged that much, but that's a good game for M80. I think you have a phrase for that, Nate.
Oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity. It was a wreck, I think is the best way to put it. It was a wreck. It was a collapse. There's no other way to put it. M80 looked out of it. Looked sad. Looked like something was fundamentally off. Like maybe they were not coming into this with clear minds, because M80 found diddly squat. Found nothing. No one individually woke up. No one as a woke up. There was not a lot of chemistry. There's some throws here and there in terms of utility and in terms of executes. And in fact, in the beginning, they looked quite good with their back and forth and pistol round, etc. But very quickly, it kind of just fell by the wayside, fell back to them running through the motions. And of course, running through the motions against a team like Legacy is not going to cut it.
No, it's not. Quite the opposite. If you run and just kind of play around against Legacy, what's going to happen is what you just saw. You're going to get punished. You're going to get domed. You're going to get bullied. You're going to get battered. You're going to get beaten 13-0. And it's just, you can't do that against Legacy. You can't do that against a team of that caliber. And Lato, he had a great game. Everybody on Legacy had a great game. Our player to watch, 134 ADR, 16-5 with 4 assists. It really didn't have much trouble stacking up bodies.
No, he did not. Now, you mentioned M80 looking battered. They're looking rough. They're looking for the worst. The question is, for a veteran team like this, can they stand back up? Because they do have a second best of 1 in the evening. It is a separate game, so theoretically they should be able to mentally reset. But it's a big question because it doesn't look like they even arrived for the first best of 1.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, unless they can just find a way to reset and shed whatever that was in the first best of 1, it's not going to be a pretty second best of 1. Don't know what the map is yet. They do, but Nate, I am not confident in M80's chances moving into the second best of 1 of the night.
I don't think anyone's confident going with M80 in the second map, just given what we've seen in this first. The question is, will M80 stand back up after getting beaten down, or will it be more of the same? Legacy looking hot, M80 looking not. But we're going to take a break, and when we return, we will have the pre-show for the second best of 1 on the evening. Stay tuned. We'll see you in about 12 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second best of one on the evening between M80 and Legacy. I'm Pineapple Phillips, joined by Boggs as always, or almost always, I should say. And Boggs, we got done with one of the roughest best of ones I have seen for M80 in a long time. In fact, I think since this roster has been signed, it was a 13-0 stomp against them by Legacy. And M80 fell flatter than a pancake. The question is, can they rebound after that kind of embarrassing defeat, or will it be more of the same shellacking heading into the second best of one?
I am going to lean towards more of the same here. And the reason I say that is because it did not look like M80 were invested emotionally in that last one. We got the veto quickly on the screen there. If you guys were quick about it, you saw it's Dust 2. Breaking down it real quick, M80 Team B. So the first map, Ancient, counts as a ban for Legacy. M80 banning Nuke and Mirage. Vertigo and Anubis banned by Legacy. Inferno and Dust 2, the last two remain. And M80 going for Dust 2. 5-3 for them, 7-3 for Legacy. Either way, I don't know if the statistics necessarily tell the story there, because that last one was one of the most brutal games I've seen in Challenger League in general.
Yeah, now, the saving grace there is that was both teams' respective most played map, Ancient, and it was technically a better record for Legacy. But Dust 2, as you mentioned, is a map that's played slightly more technically speaking for Legacy. Does not get easier for M80, which is a map that their opponents are very competent are. Granted, I don't think they would have gotten an opportunity to play a map they aren't. Their record is stellar on basically every map, barring Vertigo, which, as you mentioned in the pre-show of the first veto, was their virtually perma ban. So it wasn't going to be easy. Anubis might have been interesting. Actually, I think Anubis was banned by Legacy. Yes, it was, so no safe haven there. Dust 2 is where things go, and given the opping was okay for M80, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great. Slacks had it a couple times. He hit his shots. He got his, I think is the best way to put it. But over on the Legacy side of things, it looked far more convincing, and there was that riflery support, especially at range. I agree with you. I don't think there's a world where M80 come back, just given how embarrassing that first best of one was.
That's the right word to use, really. It kind of was embarrassing for M80. It was far from their best, far, I would say, even below what I had seen as their worst. So we'll see what they have for us on Dust 2. For Legacy, they have never lost to a team in that sort of top NA side. They lost to Audic, Case, and Fluffy Aimers while beating NRG and Wildcard twice in the same 3-month span, and dropping Nouns as well. One of those teams is not like the others, and it's just kind of a funny stat I found looking through the series in the last 3 months for Legacy. They've lost 4 maps to Fluffy Aimers overall, and out of all of the NA teams to lose consistently to, that is definitely an interesting one.
It's a very interesting one. If I'm not mistaken, they lost in CCT to them as well in the semifinals, I want to say.
I think it was a 2-0 as well.
It might have been a 2-0. And then, of course, Boss win the whole thing. That's my team. That's why I had to mention it. But it is very interesting that Legacy's kryptonite seems to be Fluffy Aimers. It seems to be a team that we were, I would say, pretty hot on at the start of the season. They're not top of playoffs like these two teams are. These two teams should be. But they are still a team that will be competing and be a potential dark horse. We are into the second map at long last. It is Dust 2, as we mentioned. And it is M80 on the defense. Legacy on the offense. Smoke flash for Nekis and a flash on Lato. Sin gushed down on Catwalk early. The IGL taking a head hit. Dooley's smoke for Lake. That means no kit in play. And a mid to B split for Legacy is shut down, at least in the early goings. A triple stack B paying off early. Paying off even more. Sin drops Sudseen. Lato and the Keys, the final one's in. Lato finds one, spamming away. Keys right at his heels as well. This is going to be an uphill battle, especially with the bomb dropped in the opening. Headshot through the wall on Lato. He'll get one, but Sin and Slacks, the duo from Germany, find the pair in response. M80 do what they couldn't do in the first best of one.
Yeah, they won a round. So
went around.
There we go. It can literally only go up from there. So, there had to be some improvement from that last map. And they get that improvement early on. I will need to see a lot more out of them before I become convinced. But again, good start, and that's what they need. MP9s, M4. Might not get off that down. Interesting choice. Tech 9, Drill, and Scout. So the
Scout.
Scout had already got, I think it was what got a tag on Swisher, although I'm not sure entirely. And it's already been spotted and pressured too, but Legacy are trying to goad M80 into these aggressive fights, trying to force M80 to push in towards top middle. M80 don't want to take the bait. They're going to wait, and it's a good decision from them. And their B lean after getting upper tons control is starting to be dismantled as they have information. It is not that B bomb site.
Not that B bomb site. Good information. They'll rotate around. Bolster this A site. 3 here between Catwalk CT and site proper.
And then look at Lake's position too.
Lake is all the way top middle. That's the SMG, or one of the two, I should say.
And Swisher on the long flank.
Yeah, it's a timer for Legacy. They gotta go. Throwing some utility and smoke for the cross that keeps Sin out of the picture, at least directly, I should say. Need to open the smoke, doesn't find anything. They're posted on the corner. 30 seconds left. They have to make their play. Flash in. Chaos, but Lake finds 2. Sin a 3rd. And in fact, what was potentially chaos is in fact a rather clean mop-up. Sin finds the final. Only 1 player going down. That is, I believe it was a FAMAS that's not recovered.
Yep.
Not the worst thing to drop. And Legacy, no bomb plant. They're going to be on a full save in round number 3. Likely just Glocks in hand, maybe a Deagle if they really, really are feeling confident.
Yeah, the Deagle out for Nikis, the P250 out for Lato, and actually another one up. 3 Deagles. So a decent investment here. And I do like the idea to go for stuff, and it's actually the Glock that starts it off with a good flashbang from Lato. Sin and Slacks, though, getting a 3-piece across the pair. Just Lato and Bartin, last one standing. Now just Lato, Deagle in hand. Spotted, naded, and removed. No real trouble for M80 the first 3 rounds. And now they'll finally get tested here on Dust 2 as the op is out for Sadzine. Legacy are buying in. And one of those MP9s has already been removed from the field of play. Slacks has a big green of his own. And we're actually getting a gun round here in round number 4 of Dust 2. A Galil for Nikis, but there are no players lacking helmets for M80, so that will not come into a factor there. Little fake flash.
Lacking a helmet.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. But it is the op,
times.
So
yeah, they have to make a compromise.
he should be fine. Yeah, I don't hate it either. It's potentially round changing, but it really shouldn't be.
We'll see. He's top mid, I believe, a tree, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe showing us more cohesion than they did in that first map, boosting up Catwalk, playing long as a solo, but he was set up by his team. And Mady looking good in the early goings of this one. Legacy getting control with the rifles early, and Slacks, I believe, legged by the op of Sadzine, if I'm not mistaken. He's tagged down to 11. Not sure what else would do that much damage in one fell swoop.
Maybe a wallbang shot.
That.
It's concerning, though. The op's already down low. There's been no return damage and no real information for M80 as to where Legacy want to end. They're audibling this to lower tunnels up towards B. Maybe a B split as 2 still sit towards double doors. Swisher's up close to B tunnels with the MP9 in hand, but he has to be careful of his mid as well. Lake's keeping an eye on that, and Nikis is actually tagged and flashed, finished off by Lake, and this is going to clue M80 into what exactly is happening. Good Molotov by Swisher, good flash as well. And so, 2 picks for the price of none for M80. Legacy are going to save here, as there's no real recourse back into this round. The timer's up, and they want to keep the op and the AKs in hand for the next round.
Seems to be M80's turn to win a map, perhaps. 4-0, still early goings, but goings are good. Clean one in this round. It's been relatively clean throughout. Already 8,900 in Slacks' bank. Legacy are going to try to force buy around these saved weapons, but it's kind of going to be awkward. Wouldn't hate a timeout right now to talk this out. Because they lose this, it's going to be 5-0. If they don't get the bomb plant, it'll probably be 6-0. That is a rather disappointing start, no matter the side, on Dust 2.
He spots one around the smoke, but Sin's able to win that duel. Takes a dink and manages it well. Swisher spotting tunnels, drops a smoke, flashbangs to stay alive. As Slacks comes in to support, spots Dumal coming through the doors, but Swisher has fallen. Slacks trying to hold, has help coming through as well. Rotations are outside of the B site. It's not gone down yet though, and Slacks is playing with fire and in fire as his shot does not connect. Bomb can cross now safely thanks to the utility wall thrown down by a Legacy safe plant for B tunnels from Bartin. As the timer starts ticking, just a Molotov left to delay, and that's been used. Smokes and a flashbang for the retaking CT side. A lot hinges on Sin pushing in through tunnels if he can get something going, or at least run distraction for the rest of the team to go through would be huge. Flash goes up, flash goes in, peeks come out, spots 1 and 1. 2 now going the way of Legacy, but Slack settles everything with that last pop shot. And German duo again, 4 kills across the pair, 2 for each. And the 5th round of the board for M80.
Sin's 9-0.
Yeah, he's having a good game.
The IGL working overtime. 153 ADR thus far. Legacy, I mentioned it, the loss bonus, they'll be compelled into an investment if they get the bomb plant. You can tell they already are. 2 AKs, 3 Galils. Not pretty, but it is dangerous. At this point, they really do need to whittle away M80's economy. It is still quite good on the CT side. The question is, what can Legacy do? Still haven't seen that timeout. Probably be useful about now. Slack's getting comfortable and getting aggressive at this stage up lower tunnels. Swinging out, spots so many on Catwalk. Good flashes from Sin to support. Finds the opening. The information's already there. Sin needs to get through the smoke onto ramp power position. There's a smoke as well. Bartin, individually though, eclipses the IGL. Puts him down for the first time in this map. Brings us to even footing. 4 versus 4. Lake over the smoke though. Finds 1. And it's back to an advantage for M80. The issue is the bomb is now down. Swisher at 1 and 2 on the jump up. Very unexpected. Sadzid was holding for that exact play, leaving just Lato alone. Bomb is planted for him, but he's already gushed. He gets 1. He's very quickly traded by the native Swisher. Stellar round for him. 3 on that one. And a 6-0 continued flawless for M80.
Yeah, nice flawless start for M80 on Dust 2. Seems like both teams really don't like that T-side start, and if they have to start in yellow, then they just don't like it. Ironic, because both of their colors at least yellow or yellow adjacent. And M80 having a good time so far on the CT side. Just have to be careful not to get overwhelmed by a pistol rush this round, as it's Tech 9s and armor for Legacy. And that is a buy that can always be deadly. An AWP and an AK to defend what looks to be a B set piece. Nade going in will do a tiny bit of damage. 14 damage across 5 players. Not really much at all. That nade will do a little bit more. And it'll soften up players for the headshot from Sin's A1S as he watches out, spots the crosses, dodges the flashbang. Elects to not toss in the incendiary, though, and leave Lake to toss more utility in. That one, though, a little bit too early, doesn't do the damage. And so with a $112 to go, Legacy still dawdling around, waiting it out, figuring out what they want to do with these pistols, burning through a good amount of that CT utility. But they have to pass the hurdle of the guns, of the firepower. And it looks to be a B split in the end. Smoke's going down in middle, but the bomb is going to go through upper tunnels. And there's 3 people here to defend. 1 in middle, 2 on the side proper. And the side hit still hasn't happened yet. Sin's able to catch 1 first. Slacks chimes in for the next. And a second of his own third on the round before he's domed by Lato. Lake through the smoke. And a dink on the Lato through the second smoke. Swisher falling puts him to bed. And a 7-0 lead now for M80 on CT side. Dust 2. And a timeout finally drawn away from Legacy.
Timeout drawn away, but at this point the half's already lost. M80 up 7-0. Again, long overdue. This time on Legacy's part rather than M80's.
And look at Legacy's Dust 2 T-side stats, Nate.
It's stellar. It's a 61.9. Whereas their CT is a 50-50.
Yep.
I knew it was good. I didn't think it was that good. Now, technically, M80 are slightly less favored on the T side, but they're still above 50%. And only 0.8% behind their performance on CT side. So you'd expect it's about the same overall. And right now, the same would be a 13-0 if it got that far. Legacy, a very solid buy, at least going into round number 8. A timeout to work with as well. We'll see what that does for their hopes and aspirations in this round. Very solid buy, though. Op and play, AKs across the board. Good utility. Couldn't ask for more. M80. Still on good times, though. We are seeing some weapon charms. I asked you in the pregame if you thought there would be any. There's at least one on that AK. Just a fun little aside. Just up for wreck. Haven't seen this at all. It finds the opening. Molotov in will compel one forward. A second as well. Wreck is just dominating in this round. More than doubling his kills in the half thus far. 3 to his name thus far. Bartin and Sadzin already, I don't want to say contemplating the save, but they might very well be. Bartin, no Swisher might be pressing, does some damage, but he also receives some in kind. They're saving. The bomb is down outside long. Sadzin is looking for exits in middle because he knows M80 are going to be hunting. It's a very long time to try and save.
And it's not the first time Legacy have had to save on this T side as well. Just goes to show that they've been bashing their heads into a brick wall. Very reminiscent of what we saw from M80 on their ancient T side. And I have to say, Nate, I did not expect this when we got this series.
We expected them to trade maps. We expected a 1-1. We did not expect 2 potential 13-0s.
I wasn't going to say it, but...
We were expecting...
I was expecting
blow
close
for blow.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not this.
Swisher has him. Surely Swisher has him. No. He's in the gap.
He's going to go.
He tried to go for the fight, though. He's paired right about middle. Does he get away? No. Slacks does him in after time as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's after.
$50 in the bank for Sadzin. Timeout means nothing. And, well, now the question is, what do you do? Your teammate has $50 in the bank.
Half it, I guess.
I'm left at a loss. I don't know what to say.
I think this series has essentially rendered both of us speechless. And I don't think that is something I ever thought I would say.
It's supposed to be the treat of the season.
Yeah, they're just running it out now, and in the smoke, Swisher's still alive. Slacks is helping him out, maintaining the charade as the smoke, and Swisher walks out of it. 1, 2, tries to go to the sidearm, and Slacks will bail him out for the last. Oh my goodness.
9-0. No
Yeah.
bomb plant.
There's been, what, 3 maybe?
2 or 3. We saw one planted for Cat. We saw one planted on B. So at least 2.
I feel like I'm forgetting one, but it might just be 2. Goodness gracious.
It's going to be really funny if our prediction of splitting maps ends up at a 13-0, 13-0 split maps.
If that's the case, Nate, I don't know. I don't know anymore. Oh. This has been an experience tonight. This buy is also an experience. A Scout, a Galil, and AKs. An okay amount of utility. The boost is dismantled. Lake peeks in, spots out, backs up. And Legacy are all somewhere in the mid-vicinity of the map. How Swisher has that right on the end of his barrel?
It's not his gun. It's one of theirs.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of those.
Well, Swisher's gone. Opening pick for Legacy.
So our openings go the way of M80 in the last map as well. Didn't end well for them. 4 versus 5. Wreck. Perfectly supported by that smoke. Couldn't have been better, in fact.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, they just immediately turn tail and just go catwalk instead. It's going to be a cat play for A. M80 pacing their utility well. One player on site. Sin has a Molotov to delay as long as possible. He has an AK as well. Here comes the XX. Smoke up catwalk, make that 2. Player CT running in to support. I believe it's Lake.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Time is of the essence. Drop CT. Caught. 15 seconds. Sin. Goose not challenged. 12 seconds. They yet to make their move. The scout walks up, tries to plant, doesn't clear Goose. 8 seconds left. Bomb is on the dirt. Lake finds one. Lato a transfer, but it doesn't matter whatsoever. Rek gets the trade that wasn't even required. The round's already over. Martin saves a Galil because he realizes that time is gone. 10-0. M80.
10-0 M80. They got gifted that round as I'm not sure what the game plan was from Legacy there. They waited until under 10 seconds to even attempt to plant the bomb. Sent the bomb out. No support. Lost the bomb. And that's the round.
Sin's feeling confident in bursting smokes while he's in the middle of the open.
You're up 10-0. I think it's warranted at this point.
It's time for the IGL to ego peak. I agree.
He's been good, too. Tied for top of his team. Also, Naki's 0-10.
Where's our player to watch? He's at least top of the team.
Yeah, he is. But he'd be second from the bottom on M80.
Oh, yeah, he's not doing great.
No, he's not. But, I mean, also considering he has more kills, or as many kills as the rest of his team combined, it kind of explains a lot.
It'll paint a picture when his stats, which will be below average, are still the best his team has to offer in this map.
This is so red, too.
This is ready. Gets one. Almost gets a second. Slacks is on catwalk. Ready. Transition down middle could just get them an opportunity. Lake only good for one. The op immediately drops over. The nade is very good as well from Sin. Swing out the smoke. He can do no wrong. 2 for him on the spray transfer. Leaves Sad Scene on a sad scout. 1 versus 3. Caught by the op. He exchanges blows. The issue is one fires a far bigger bullet. 11-0. With no bomb plant. No win with the rifles and slash, or I should say rifles slash investment. Legacy are going to be on a cobbled together ball yet again. Galil for Nakis, Galil for Dumao. Galil for Lato. Galil for Bartin, and Galil for Sadsin. All 5 picking up those weapons. Lacking a utility here and there. The issue isn't the utility in the team play. The issue is that the individuals simply have not woken up. Sure, they're losing track of time every once in a while, but they're not doing their due diligence. They're not clearing things out. They're at least going together. It's been an utter collapse from the T side. They're clumped up in spawn. They have one player sitting in CT. That's Lato in a corner watching long, I guess. Probably waiting to line up a smoke if I had to guess. Yep, there's the throw.
Yep.
It's for B-doors. It's a fast B-doors smoke play. 2 players are already here to defend, though.
Oh,
There's already thrown utility. 1 for Lake. 2 for Swisher. 3rd for Lake and Swisher. They combine. Sadzine finds 1, leaving just Lato in the clutch 1v4. Lake is not the one to find it. Sin is 12-0 from M80 to respond as we hit the halftime break.
Well, we're back here, and if you watch the first map, you might be looking at the score saying, hey, that looks familiar. Look at the team logos, and you might see it's completely different. Boggs and Pineapple Phillips with you for this adventure, as it's a BXX from Swisher, but it's just a bait. Long pushes out now. Nakis and Dumao and Lato all getting headshots, all shutting down the M80 side, which might just spoil the joke, Nate.
Dude, they're going to harsh it. I'm just going to say it. I was so hyped for a 13-0 rebuttal to a 13-0 start. And they're going to harsh it.
It's not over. It's not over yet.
It's not even close to over, technically. Let's take a Herculean effort from this imported duo. Sin, the first found. Okay, good start. Second spotted. Third on the site. The issue is the USPs at range.
Well, they have an opportunity to close the gap. They can pick up a USP down as well. They've given up the A site. Legacy this is a prime. Oh, there's only 8 rounds of that USP. That's a decision to make.
He's gonna go with it though. He only needs 4.
Why are they splitting though?
They're overthinking it.
Again, we saw M80 overthink the entirety of that ancient T side.
M80 overthinking, but also Legacy. Legacy are running all over the place. Both teams are racing to see who can burn the pot faster. Dumal finds the first. Sin racing out is Herd. That should be the round. Good gush onto Barthin, but the duel's one. Okay, it's clean. Sadzin gets the trade. Dumal did not want to swing and try to find a trade. That was potentially worrying there for a moment, but his team rights the ship. And Legacy do not give us the blessing of 2 13-0s. Instead, it's going to be at least a little bit longer. M80 want to race to finish this.
M80. They overthought that pistol, Nate. Plain and simple.
Everyone overthought it. Issue is they just started overthinking when it was too little too late and not enough players left in the server. Scout for Slacks is the only thing invested. That might be a force buy. Not the case.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this either. Unless Slacks is just going to go back-to-back scouts. But even then, I still don't know how I feel about that. Nade gets a kill. Rek gets the assist on his teammate. Slacks trying to get something done with a scout. Can't. The mid-round is not going to be too thought out. As it's Glocks and a P250 and a scout for M80, glass cannon scout at that. It's just maybe getting a kill or two if you are M80 and getting to the next round with guns. Unless somehow this turns into a 13-1, I don't see that as a possibility in this situation. And
no, Slacks taking these duels isn't possible either because he has no Kevlar. He gets aim punched into oblivion.
And Dumao's got a freebie here.
There it is. It's the scout. Should be the round. 2 on catwalk, both down below 20. Sadzin spots them both crossing. Actually, the plant's going to go down. Priority number 1 does at least get done. The question is now, can they find some damage? 1 and 2. The jumping MP9 for 1. Barthin, the final. Clean and flawless for Legacy, but they do allow a bomb plant that gives M80 the capital required to get a very solid buy into round number 3 of this half. Legacy taking it 1 round at a time. Chanting 12 is all they get.
I think it's a little too early for that, Nate. A couple more rounds, and then we can start the chant. Also, if you know the Brazilian Portuguese way to chant that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, I don't.
I don't either, so. And I'm not going to risk a Google Translate on that. I don't trust it.
I don't risk Google Translate on anything.
Also, I know that I would butcher the pronunciation anyways because Portuguese has a very interesting way of pronouncing a lot of sounds and words that I would not be able to do properly. And Rek tries to take that fight and does not execute so properly. Half blinded, but not really enough to impact that significantly. That's a dry fight. He needs to at least do some damage and doesn't even do a point of damage in that spray.
He tried to dodge it, couldn't quite get away far quickly enough, and then he took the duel nonetheless. A bit foolhardy, especially on his lonesome. 4 players remain. Looks like Cat's the name of the game. All 4 are here. Nice flash over. 2 players ready, though. And a 3rd available if required. I actually think better of it. Throw a smoke from mid to B. Minute left. Still plenty of time. The keys, though, wins the second duel. Lake is the one taking it dry outdoors. 2-man advantage secured for Legacy. They're not looking to let this one be quick and clean. Looking to at least make it a little bit more scrappy. Re-smoke for CT Cross. 40 seconds left. Sin flashes in and throws a Molotov for space. They will now commence for the V split. Sin and Slacks the one's middle. Swisher in tunnels. And Damao is ready to swing off contact. Ready to swing through the smoke at a moment's notice. Martin Carr spots one. Swisher and Slacks. Actually, Slacks team kill Sin. Swisher drops Nikis. Martin drops Swisher. And Martin doubles down thanks to the assist from Dumao. 3-12 for surviving. Legacy showing they have at least a little bit of gas in the tank in the second half.
A lot of bit of gas left in the tank as they're about to tie, or not tie it, but take it to 4, unless M80 can win this on nothing but pistols. Tech 9's armor, double flashbangs. Deagle. And a mid-rush here, up towards Cat. Smoke's down. Molotov to counter. M80 going to go through that anyways. Elbow fight, 1-for-1. That's not enough for Lato. And Nekis is getting reinforced here. But that's a great Deagle shot from Swisher. It might come tumbling down here in this 3-versus-3. Bomb down. Mission accomplished. P250. Sadzine sticks his neck out too far. And he's punished by Sin dropping down and taking another ego peek. The in-game leader of M80 fighting like a prime rifler. Dumao and Martin, the last 2 alive, trying to bring this back. 1 for Martin, or for Dumao, and only 1 is Martin. 1-versus-2, blindsided by Sin with 3 on the round. It took 3 extra rounds, but M80 pretty much give Legacy a taste of their own medicine and return the favor with a 13-3 victory.
Yep, a one-sided affair for a one-sided affair, but both teams are coming out of this looking bedraggled, looking frazzled, looking worse for wear, I would say. We said this is going to be a tone setter for playoffs, which start next week, might I add. We said that both teams should look solid. And it feels like maybe these 2 teams, who are 2 top seed teams, could potentially be upset in playoffs. Keep in mind, a lot goes into seeding for playoffs. Top 2 teams skip that first round of the upper bracket. Teams 3 through 6 in terms of seeding, in terms of overall record, start off in the upper bracket round 1. Teams 7 through 10 start off in that lower bracket. And we've always kind of hinted at it throughout the season. These lower bracket teams can make a run. The likes of, at this point, Boss, Fluffy, Aimers, I think they might still be down there. I'm not exactly certain. They might have stumbled a bit.
Up there with Timberman, should be in for that 9th or 10th spot.
Timberman, these teams that, which honestly, you might have discounted going in through a majority of the season, seeing how they played, how they matched up head-to-head versus NRG, M80, Legacy, etc., might really struggle. But given this performance at a critical juncture, at a critical time, I would say perhaps they could perform, they could even upset if one of those teams would stumble and fall to the lower bracket.
Lato did also have a bit of a disappointing map too, 63 ADR, 11 and 13. I mean, it's not horrible, but for his standards, it is not great. Granted, if your team is losing 13-3, you're probably not going to have a good performance of your own, but he definitely stood out as Arcadia player to watch in the first map.
Oh, he did. Everybody on his team stood out in that first map because it was 13-0. There's no way you get a 13-0 without a team being solid like that. Both teams looking worse for wear, looking tired, maybe high-strung, I think is the best way to put it at this point, heading into the late stages of ECL. The question is, can they shore up these issues heading into what is the final week, or will they come into playoffs compromised and ready for an upset? We'll have to wait and see, but as for tonight, that is going to conclude our broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Boggs, my co-commentator, myself, and the production crew, have a good night, and we will see you, or we too will see you next week at playoffs. I think there's going to be a broadcast tomorrow, but I'm not certain on that. Keep your eye out, but regardless, have a good night and take care.